Hello, everybody, and welcome to Night Owls in real life. Look at this.
In
We're
person.
actually, for everybody who's enjoying the video, able to physically reach out and touch each other. And that is the first time that we've ever done this on this channel since we started doing video podcasts. So it's a great day. It's very nice to be podding with you in person.
It is, and we're in London, so obviously it's raining, it's cold,
Obviously,
um, but we're just about making it work.
we're braving the UK weather to do a special recording for you. We're like the outside broadcast team of a radio station. We're your roving reporters. We're actually in the same city for once. So we're recording Night Owls in person, and frankly, I'm really excited for it. Normally, I have to look into your eyes through the webcam when I'm making bad jokes. But now I can actually do it in person and get your reactions
Yeah,
without the delays of them going through an undersea cable.
yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, so I'm in London. Like I said, I went to a gig last night. I'm actually going to two concerts while I'm here, which is why I flew over. And obviously, wanted to take the time to also see Dave and record while I'm here, since it's just the same city. I went to a music venue last night that I've never been to before in London, which is, I've been to so many gigs in London that over time you just start doing repeats. But this time I went to a brand new one, and it's called Troxy. I don't know if you'd ever been there.
I'd never even heard of it until you
I had
mentioned
never
it.
heard of it till this band that I like announced that they were doing a double nighter there. So it's a Valentine's Day two-nighter. One show on the 14th, which was last night, and now tonight there's another show on the 15th. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It was like an old school English venue. You know, one of those venues that you can see how it used to be a theatre and it's all sort of ornamental
Hmm.
and decorated. And now they've redone it to be used for like, yeah, more music purposes, and it's just a music venue like any other now. But I think it's such a shame how nobody uses it. Maybe we can link to it in the description. Somebody's got to book something there because I'm scared that this place is going to close down.
When we do Night Owls live, we'll
Mm.
book there.
One day when we can sell out Troxy, I think that we
You know,
should.
podcasts are doing that. Do you ever hear that, like Rest is Politics Live or
Yeah,
something? It's
they did
like,
O2 Arena.
yeah, it's
I don't think
crazy.
we'll ever, yeah, I'm not sure that we'll ever do O2 Arena, but maybe we'll do a smaller venue. Maybe we'll do like the Barbican.
We could do, which is where we are at the moment.
Yeah, what capacity is their music hall?
Um, I don't know, but they do London Symphony Orchestra, so it's probably fairly big.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's not nothing. Yeah, the band I saw, one of my favorite bands of all time, Los Campesinos, they have a weird, like, anti-capitalist policy of not doing chain venues. So they don't do anything that's managed by O2 in an act to, like, support independent venues. So I've seen them in some quite niche places over the years. And I've always been a bit like, why can't you just be like everyone else and play O2 Brixton? That's a really good venue. But having been to Troxy last night, I was like, damn, I never would have come here. Like, it is so good to support this
Mm,
place and have some money coming into independent art spaces that aren't controlled by multinational telecom
yeah.
institutions.
Most of the gigs I've been to in the last couple years, I'm always like pleasantly surprised with the smaller ones.
Yep.
Like Springsteen was great, but you kind of, I don't know, if it's someone you really like, it's fine. But when you go somewhere smaller, especially if it's cheaper,
Yep.
and you can like maybe chat to the person next to you, it's great. It's so
Yeah.
good.
I think you only really forgive going to a massive plasticky venue like Wembley if it's Springsteen.
Yeah,
There's
and
like
it's
very few artists that I would do that for.
that was like 100, a ticket or something
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Like I remember when we were teenagers and you could get a festival ticket for that for like 4 nights.
Yeah.
But no, it was really good. I was actually really, really happy to have gone there, and yeah, can't wait to go back tonight. They have, yeah, the guy who writes the songs for them. I know it's such a niche interest that I have. Like every time I see them, I put it on my Instagram story, and I'm like, I'm the only one who cares about this band. That's fine. Some people are like, oh, they did the song from Budweiser
Yeah.
advert in 2008, and I'm like, yes, it is that band.
I
Okay,
wonder if I
fair.
recognize them if I heard that song.
You might do, yeah. But it's one of those, you know, when you see a band that you really like and they have like a self-deprecating, like, okay, we have to play the hit now. Sorry
Right.
to everyone who's seen us 10 times before, but
Yeah.
it's some people's first show. So they're like, I think he even said last night, he was like, sorry for the boring next 5 minutes for most of you. But yeah, the guy who writes their songs, I just think he has such lyrics that, I don't know, I've just always listened to for like the last 10 years and means so much to me. And I think he's a great songwriter, very like unique. He's inspired by, I think his favorite band is like the Beautiful South.
Okay.
And I think at one point I was like, oh, he writes my favorite lyrics. I should see who writes his favorite lyrics, like what inspired him. And I tried listening to Beautiful South and I was like, this is not it.
See, I'm
This is not it.
I'm a bit skeptical of this claim because I remember years ago you sent me this song, the Robbie Williams song,
What Robbie Williams song?
Blasphemy,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I know what anecdote this is. Yeah,
and I think you may have said like I really like the lyrics in the song or something.
this is literally when we were like 16
Yeah.
that I recommended to you a Robbie Williams song, and I learned never to do that again, never
I
commit
mean,
that crime
I
again.
I do like Robbie Williams. Um, I wouldn't say he's the Shakespeare of the late 20th
Please
century.
don't say the S word because I'm only just getting over you saying Shakespeare's content last time. So
It's
that's
ours.
us.
Thanks. Um, yeah, so you sent me this song, and I think the rhyme was, it was a blasphemy.
Oh yeah.
It was blasphemy.
He tried to squeeze in a song thinking we wouldn't notice that he rhymed. Is it blast for me? As in like it was a good time for
Yeah,
me? It was a blast for me with the word
but he says it so it
blasphemy.
rhymes with blasphemy.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'm not the best judge of good lyrics then, to be fair. But I mean, Robbie Williams probably didn't even write that. I know he released it in a song.
Yeah, I don't know what his process is. I've got a worse one though.
You've got a worse. Okay, fair, go ahead.
Um, Let me see if I can get it right. Do you want to know who it's by, or do you want to hear the lyric?
Tell me who it's by?
It's by Lily Allen.
Oh, right, oh, I probably don't know it then.
Okay. It goes something
Is
like.
this. Oh, no, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, go.
I was going to say, I find the Alfresco song quite cringe. Is that it?
Yeah. Um, so I think it goes like, there's a little old lady struggling with bags from Tesco.
Yeah.
There are people in the park. I believe that's called al fresco.
Oh, it's there were people from the city having lunch in the park. I believe that is called Alfresco.
Yeah.
I can't believe that actually. And we didn't plan that either.
No.
That's just the one Lily Allen song I could think of that is cringe.
I think that she must have realised that al fresco rhymes with Tesco,
Tesco.
and then she would have had to squeeze in. I believe that is called al fresco.
Because it's not a sentence you would usually say. You have to get Alfresco on the end. See, this is now I write poems for Enya's videos. I know how hard it is to find rhymes. And like you do sentences that you wouldn't normally do to get a word on the end. If you think of a rhyme, you're like, oh, that does rhyme, but in the sentence you would normally put it at the start. So I have to like reverse engineer the sentence to put it
Yeah.
on the end.
But what else rhymes with Tesco?
Why would you mention Tesco in a song? Like, what is she doing? Would an American audience even know what Tesco is?
Probably not. But I don't think she's really broken through in America.
Maybe that's why, because she keeps going on about Tesco.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
it's like referencing Spa.
the song is LDN, so it's about London.
That's fair, yeah. There's one that that's just
Spa.
reminded me of that I think my least favorite thing with lyrics is when they date the song. I think what's really great is when you have an absolute timeless song. So it might be something from the 70s, and I can't really relate to the circumstances in which it was written, but I listen to it now, and it's still powerful. And I think that a song, I guess it has to grow old and develop an audience to find out if it's timeless or not. But I think the songs that are still with us from that time are timeless. Like they don't make specific references that people in our generation can't relate to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they were going on about, say it was an 80s song, they were going on about Thatcher, I'd be a bit like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I'm not very educated on this topic.
Sometimes that does happen. I remember there's a song by UB40 called 1 in 10,
Right.
and I didn't know what that was, but when I played it with my uncle there, he was like, oh, did you know at one time 1 in 10 people were unemployed? And that's what it was
Oh,
about.
yeah. Oh, there's some like that that are like, oh, if you look into it, this is like a protest song.
Yeah.
Like I was at End of the Road, the small festival, like 3 years ago, and it was like, you know, and the last thing of the night where there's one random like tent open that's still playing music, and it's like you should be going to bed, but you're just like trying to extend the night as long as possible. And there was just like a DJ set, and they played Zombie by the Cranberries.
Okay.
And it was me there with all of these other English people in England just being like, what's in your head? You know this song?
Yeah, not that well, but I know it.
And I was looking around, I was like, is this the intent of this song? It's like a massively anti-English song. It's about violence in Ireland. And I was like, is this the vibe? Should we really be doing this? Like, I think it's such a banger song, so if you didn't know, you would never question it. you could just see it as like anti-war in general, which like everybody is anti-war deep down. But obviously it is like an anti-war, anti-English
Mm.
song. So I was a bit like, is this the vibe?
I suppose once those type of songs like dilute into the mainstream, like Born in the USA, it just becomes what the
Yeah,
mainstream thinks
that's
of it.
fair. Yeah, you
But
should do a video about how Born in the USA is not really
actually,
patriotic.
that
That's a
would
great idea.
pop off that video.
Mm.
But when it's technology, like if someone was like, um, what did they have back then? Like a Zoltaire
Yeah,
2000?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. I sent a fax. I think you have people who do it in like a cutesy way, like Park Life is like sort of a '90s view of England. It's quite
Yeah.
nostalgic, but the thing that the one that I don't like, which made me think of it, it's kind of like an anachronism now. But do you remember the movement? It was like a protest thing from like left-wing politics that was called Punch a Nazi. Do you remember this? It was
Mm.
like I don't know if it was like a meme or like a real movement in like 2000 and I don't even know, like 16, 17.
Okay.
And it's mentioned in a national song, which I really like. But every time I get to that part, I'm just like, that has dated the song really badly. And it's such a beautiful song, but
Why
it
is it?
mentions this one thing, and I'm like, it takes me back to that one moment in time that people will probably forget pretty soon. But it's like a reference that really dates the song, in my opinion. I wish they hadn't done that
Why does it date the song?
because I remember like the hashtag Punch a Nazi thing going
Oh,
around on like Instagram, and then he says it in the song, and I'm like, oh, this is a song from 2017.
okay.
So I can't think about anything else when I'm listening to it now. Do you know what I mean? And I just wish
Yeah.
that it wasn't there.
I don't really know that reference. All I was going to
Uh,
say is that until like the last few months, I didn't know any Nazis, and now now
now one in
Kanye
ten.
started to.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It's obviously, we don't condone physical violence here on Night Owls, but if you were going to punch someone, it's not a bad person to punch, but just hearing the phrase said out loud, and it's such a nice song. It's like a 10-minute long song, and it's one of those. It's like do you know Hallelujah? Like really, he wrote like 100 verses.
mm,
It's like one of those that just goes like on and on and on, and they essentially got it down to like a 10-minute version for the album. In one of the lines, he just ends it with, "I don't have the balls to punch a Nazi," and I'm just like, oh. I remember being at uni and seeing that hashtag now. It's taken me out of this like beautiful
especially a
song.
hashtag. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I like, yeah, kind of cringe at, um, which I think is a shame. But to be honest, I think everybody listening to this could think of like some really bad rhymes in songs that they like that they just forgive.
Okay, so I've got one.
A bad rhyme.
I think it's great, but I can
Okay.
see how you might think it's a bad rhyme. It's by Tame Impala.
Is this the less I know, the better?
No, but that's
Okay.
another interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I think in the less I know, the better, he takes it too far with too many of the same rhymes,
Yeah.
like holding hands with Trevor.
That's the kind of thing where it's a great song and I think everyone really likes it. But if I said, "Oh, I've got this song, can I play it to you?" that I just written, and it's like holding hands with Trevor, you think,
Yeah, I do think that. You know what? For all the times I've seen Tame Impala live, and they end with that song, like it's their biggest song, and I guess it is,
yeah,
but I'm just like, it's not even close to my favorite Tame song.
is it
It's not
not?
like in my top five on
What's your
that
favorite?
album.
Um,
My favorite Tame song is probably New Person, Same Old Mistakes.
really?
Yeah, but there's so many good songs on there, like Love Paranoia, Reality Emotion. I think is a
I
great
love
song.
Reality Emotion, and
Yeah,
I think on Spotify that's the lowest played
yeah,
one,
yeah.
and I love that song.
That's one that's like it hit me like an arrow.
Mm,
Yeah, I love Reality Emotion. Even obviously like Let It Happen. Eventually, I think they're all better than The Less I Know, the Better. But that just became like the biggest song for some reason.
yeah.
And there's obviously great ones on like Inner Speaker before they were like famous, famous. There's a lot of good songs back then. Um, but anyway, what one were you going to mention
So,
as a
so the
bad rhyme?
rhyme, the rhyme I'm thinking of is on Elephant,
Okay,
and he says,
Cadillac.
yeah,
Yeah,
he pulled the mirrors off his Cadillac because he doesn't like it looking like he looks back.
I like that to be fair.
I
I
think
don't think that's
that's
cringe.
I think that's really good. Um, I can see how it's the brand name. When you rhyme a brand name, it's a bit
Yeah,
um, forced, maybe, but I think that's a great line.
I know what you mean. It's a bit like well, I mean, Springsteen mentions a Buick and Dylan as well.
Mm.
But maybe that's not such a famous like brand to our generation.
And I think there's only a few brands you could do that with because it's sort of, um, I don't know, it sort of represents something beyond just like a company, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's like did I learn this from one of your videos or from someone else's video? The Kinks had to get rid of "She tastes just like Coca-Cola."
Yeah,
Yeah, and change it to like "She tastes just like cherry cola"
yeah.
because of the BBC.
I
Did I
don't,
learn
th
that from
I
you?
don't think it's from me. I know David
Well, there's a
Bennett.
free video idea for you.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, the Cadillac thing, I don't know, really the most famous Cadillac rhyme is Billy Joel.
oh,
And he's
Cadillac.
traded in his Chevy for a Cadillac.
Yeah,
But no, I like that. I know what you mean, that it could become a bit cringe if that brand sort of goes away. But to be honest, I kind of like that one. I'm willing to forgive it. But I think Tame Impala have such great like dance songs that I think people don't really realize how good he is at writing lyrics because the songs have this like amazing energy. And it there's bands like The Strokes I absolutely love, but I think I just get carried through their songs because they have a good energy.
mm,
And some of the lyrics, I think if you wrote them down as poetry, you'd be like, what the hell is this? Like, this is awful. But I think Tame would work as like folk music with an acoustic guitar. I think the lyrics are like that good. Do
yeah.
you?
At times, um, I don't
I
think
was
it's.
picking up my suit from the dry cleaners.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, same.
I heard him in an interview once, um, and he said like, "I wish I could just do a spoken word song."
That's cool.
And then everyone in the comments was like, "I was picking up my suit from the dry
Yeah,
cleaner."
right. Yeah, yeah. That's like, I think that's the kind of artist that I like though, who is into poetry and like words. Like Grian from Fontaine's said he wants to do a book of poetry, and I was like, yeah, I can tell that's why I'm interested in your music because you're really good at putting words one after another that have an emotional effect on people, which is kind of what I'm more interested in than like I love, I think people you can go to a festival and drink 5 beers and dance to Bicep, like that's great,
Mm,
but I wouldn't like listen to it when I'm sat on the plane. I know some people do, but personally it's just not my bag.
yeah, I do that sometimes.
Fair. That is not my bag.
I'll be on the
Um,
tube
Listening to
with a bit
Bicep.
of glue.
No, I don't believe you. I actually don't believe you.
I do.
I've been in an Irish bar in Barcelona, and someone put, uh, they were doing like on the jukebox, they were doing like Angels, Sweet Caroline, and it was all like English people singing along, and someone put glue on, and everyone was still trying to sing along, like, and I was like, this is just the worst thing ever. Like, I
Yeah.
can't stand this. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so this band that I'm going to see tonight, and they have so many songs that like yeah, and they're quite like lyrics driven songs that in the end you are going to write a couple of like clangers, but one that I always laugh at is there's a footballer. He has a lot of like football references in his songs, but there's a footballer called Tony Cascarino
Okay.
who in the 90s was quite famous because he was like an English player who played in France and had like quite a big career playing in France, and it was English players don't really go abroad, so it was kind of a notable thing. And in one of their old songs, he has a line that's like, "You asked if I'd be anyone from history, fact or fiction, dead or alive. I said I'd be Tony Cascarino, circa 1995." And I've always thought like, I hate that so much. I just like I skipped the song
I quite like that.
because of it. But recently, to promote this tour that they're doing, the singer went on Talksport with Tony Cascarino, and they
Okay.
like talked about it, and I was like, wow, like a 15-year-old song is finally getting the
Yeah.
recognition. But yeah, they have loads of stuff like that. He basically writes infinite songs about football and a lot of stuff about God, which I'm kind of enjoying. He has quite a lot of like good theology reference in his songs, which I quite enjoy. Vampire Weekend, I think, is really good at that as well.
Yeah. I was speaking to Toby about that album the other day, the one you
Modern
recommended.
Vampires, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody out there who hasn't heard, I think Modern Vampires with the City by Vampire Weekend is one of the best albums of like the 2010s, I would say.
Mm.
There's a lot of great lyrics on there and such creative songs like Step. I don't know if you've heard that one.
I see. I listened to it, I think just once, and it didn't do much for me.
That's fair.
I might have to give it another go because Toby was like, "You got to listen to this."
It's one of the only songs where, obviously, like I said, I just listen to like Bob Dylan songs because I like the lyrics. And when people are like, oh no, you don't understand, like the production on Strawberry Fields Forever, they use this like weird like circuit board to do it. I'm like, I literally don't care. But Step by Vampire Weekend is one of those ones where like actually seeing how they made it out of like samples really did interest me. So I kind of credit it for getting me to pay a bit more attention to the music that I listen to in that way. And yeah, I love that album so much. Anyway, we left the viewers on a bit of a cliffhanger last time.
We did. I kind of stole the spotlight talking about sort of the things that go my way, the unfair advantages, and we didn't really get to hear you talk through much.
So for anyone who didn't hear the last one, the concept is like what helps you in your creative field, or I guess any field in your career, identifying your unfair advantage. So like, what's your competitive advantage that you have against anyone else who might be going for that job or who's trying to make the same stuff and you're competing for the same audience? What's something you can exploit to make more videos better and faster?
Do you see it that way, or do you see it as like a privilege that just happens to work out in your favor?
What's the difference?
So if you were like the world's leading expert on like, I don't know, eye surgery,
Yeah.
you could say, okay, that's my competitive advantage because no one else is as good at eye surgery. But if I was like, I don't know, I have low rent, so I don't need to worry so much about brand deals, I wouldn't say that's like my competitive advantage. I'd say that's just like lucky that I'm in that situation.
I don't know, I'd put them both in the same field. An attribute you have that other people don't, that means you're more likely to make it.
I guess.
Some of them you would class as privileges, but is being educated in eye surgery not a privilege? Like loads of people would love to know a lot about eye surgery. I'd say that's a privilege. Like, I find myself privileged to be educated. Like I have a tech degree and everything. That is a privilege.
Yeah. I don't know. Guess it swings both ways.
Yeah, anyway, so apart from the usual privileges, not being like a carer or whatever people would go into, definitely I think that goes without saying that I appreciate
Yeah.
the amount of time that I have that other people don't have. Some people live in like a building that doesn't have internet connection and stuff, and I have the privilege that I do have an internet connection, of course. All of those things are worth mentioning. But I think for what I'm trying to make this year, what I was going to say last week before we cut, is for everybody who's trying to make videos in my genre in English, I think I have the advantage that I actually speak German as well, and I'm bilingual, because it at least doubles the amount of sources that you have for research.
When you say your genre, do you mean travel broadly?
Yeah, or like history, trains, all of that stuff.
Well, that's fine if it's in German.
I think so. Like for instance, this one that I'm doing coming up soon, the Wuppertal Schwebebahn, like the in the city in Germany called Wuppertal, they have like a really amazing suspension railway. So it's like a floating train that looks like it's going above the city. And every train YouTuber in the world has done a video there.
Okay.
Everybody. And I watched some of them, and they all say the same things. And I was like, I kind of want to do a bit more of a deep dive on this. And I was like, I guess everybody's just read the Wikipedia page and turned it into a video. But on Wikipedia, obviously you can change the language, and the articles aren't the same because they're written in each language.
Okay.
It's not translated. So I changed the article to German, and it's like 10 times as long. There's loads more cool, interesting little bits of trivia in there. And I thought most people who've written an English language video about this thing probably haven't thought to do that. Like, you could do it and then paste it into Google Translate and do it that way, but there's just more friction. Like, I don't think you would even think to do that. But I was reading this German Wikipedia page, and I was like, oh my God, nobody that I've watched has included this fact in their videos. Like, this is something that I'm going to do. And even not just on Wikipedia, like going to other websites that, yeah, you could paste them into Google Translate, but the fact that I can like pick out what parts I want just with the naked eye and then translate them properly, I can just sort of scan it quickly and be like, oh, that's interesting, that isn't. I think that's a huge advantage in distilling the huge amount of resources in there into like a 10-minute video. I
Mm.
really do.
Okay, I think that is a genuine advantage. That's sort of on the eye surgery kind of
Yeah, definitely.
spectrum. Um, I don't know. Do you think you can actually use that to?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
like I
they.
said, I wanted to do some more Germany videos this year, and obviously there's a lot of content about that because they have like interesting train lines and they have a
Okay,
lot of
yeah.
deep like historical stories there.
I think that's the thing. You have to sort of meet it at that intersection where you can use that. There's no point like being the world's best eye surgeon
Oh
and
yeah, if
then
you didn't want to make a channel about eye surgery, then it's not an advantage. You
yeah,
just be like, damn it, I want to make all of these Peppa Pig analysis videos, and all these books about eye surgery are in the way.
yeah.
Obviously, it has to suit the like creative vision that you have for your channel. Otherwise, it's not an advantage.
Mm. Well, then maybe that's. Are you thinking I should really lean into that?
Yeah, definitely. I like I said before, I think I had some hits with like Germany stuff, and then I just kind of turned my back on it.
Mm.
But I think the audience has always been like really receptive, and I was like, oh, there's so many cool, interesting stories here. Why do I keep leaving to shoot all the time? Why don't I just shoot what's on my doorstep? And I do think I'm in like an interesting position with that, where I can go to Berlin on like a day trip. I don't have to fly or plan anything. If I'm
Mm.
like, oh, there's this weird like World War II story, I can just go and shoot it in a day. But I'm a native English speaker at the same time. So like there's Germans I've seen who make English language content, and that's an amazing thing to do in a second language. Like I would never, I don't think, do a
Mm.
video in my second language because I hate hearing myself speak it.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing to do in a second language. Like I would never um, disparage anyone for being that good. But still, when I'm listening to it, I'm just a bit like, you can tell there's a lack of like smoothness in the narration script
Mm.
because you're not a native speaker of English. So you're not quite, it's not quite flowing as nicely as it could. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some people's stuff who I listen to where I'm like, it's amazing that you've written this, and it's like 98% perfect English,
Mm.
and that's incredible. But the last 2% would make me want to listen to the whole video way more if it just flowed a bit better.
Do you think there's a market to like do that, and you could really lean into that? And
Be like the English speaker who does a lot of German stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, there's other channels like that. There's a couple of Americans who live in Germany who do like Deutsche Bahn videos and stuff. I think there is definitely a market there. I think there's enough people doing it to prove that there's interest. Um, and I think Germans are just, I don't know, I think they like educating themselves. They watch a lot of like serious educational content from my
mm.
experience. And I think there is a lot of interest in it. To be honest, like, I find it strange because I don't watch any videos about England.
Yeah. You mean
Like,
like English history or just about?
just anything. Like for all the countries that I've watched travel vlogs from recently, I would never click on like London. But if I do something in Germany,
Yeah,
it's
but you watch
all,
like Jeff Marshall or is it Jago Hazard or something like that?
I guess Jeff Marshall, yeah, and Jay Foreman,
Yeah,
but not like to the extent of the type of videos I make in Germany that Germans then watch.
I see what you
I
mean.
find that kind of remarkable because if I think if someone goes, it's slightly different if someone goes to like Greenland or something or Korea, I don't know, um, and they're like, I'm like, oh, that's a life that I don't know anything about, so I'll watch it. I find it interesting, but I wouldn't. I don't think I'd watch like a vlogger going to like Stonehenge or anything. But then you do that in other people's countries and they watch. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think if anything, I'd be a bit put off by watching someone else
Oh right.
do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if it was a Stonehenge video and it was like
Both.
most likely Americans go to Stonehenge,
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd rather a local goes.
I met the first time I was in America, I met this guy and everyone loves you if you're from England. And I was like, have you ever been? And he was like, yeah, I've been to England once. I was like, oh, where did you go? And he was like, Stonehenge. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, I flew to Heathrow, rented a car, drove to Stonehenge, put the car back in the rental at Heathrow and flew home.
Wow,
And I
just for
was like, dude,
Stonehenge.
why?
Have you
Like,
been to Stonehenge?
yeah,
Have you actually? Because you can't get that close, right?
No, you can go in like a ring around it.
Yeah.
I've
What
been
did
in
you
the last
think?
few years. Ugh, I don't know, it's kind of pointless. I
Yeah.
don't really get the interest in it, to be honest. I get that it's like our classic thing, but I didn't find it that interesting going there. It's from like the area where I was born and everything, so I found that probably more interesting. Like
Mm.
Salisbury itself is lovely, but Stonehenge was kind of,
It's just because it's so old, right?
I guess so, but isn't it like the same age as the pyramids? And it's so embarrassing. It took like thousands of years to build Stonehenge. It's like, what were they doing? Like literally, what were they doing? They were having like a 2,000 year cigarette break, and they were like, "All right, stick them up now."
I would guess it probably wasn't that big a deal. They were like, oh, we should because it like measures where the solstice is, right, and stuff like that.
I guess so,
So they're
but
like, if we put this rock here, we can measure where it is. And they were like, well, whatever. It's not that impressive. And then someone was like, well, we may as well put the rest in there or something. Whereas the pyramids are, one of the pinnacles of human creation.
yeah, definitely.
Stonehenge, we probably could have done it with a.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We can make Stonehenge. You give me a month and a couple of chisels, like we could make something similar out of all of this concrete.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess for tourists it's a bit different, and
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just I think as English people ourselves, we don't know like how we're seen around the world, and I guess they pick one thing that they're like, oh, that's England, and it's basically like either Big Ben or Stonehenge.
yeah. And
And
that's the other thing, like Big Ben, London Eye. I haven't been up London Eye.
I haven't been since I was a kid.
Uh,
That's the thing with all of this stuff that I did as a kid. I'm like, I haven't done it.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's not really the same if you haven't like paid for it yourself. And
And I think a lot of people buy into our history, like, have you met the king or something like that.
yeah,
And to us, it's just normal.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, Stonehenge, I guess, is part of that story.
yeah. I don't know. I don't really see what the fascination is, but is that what Egyptians are like with the pyramids? Like if they drive to work and see it every day? Like I had this when I was in Tunisia with the Colosseum. It's literally a roundabout. Like you have to drive all the way around it because it's in the center of town. And I was like, is this annoying for the locals that this is here? That you have to go like an extra 5 minutes around it on your
I
motorbike to
guess
get
you
around
just
it?
get used to it, yeah. Um,
At least Stonehenge is like out of the way. Like if Stonehenge was in zone one somewhere and you had to like preserve space for it, that would be so annoying.
yeah. Um, I don't know. Maybe there is something great about it. There's also there's the Magna Carta. I think how many copies? Like 3 copies or something.
Yeah, where is that? Is one of those? It used to be in the British Library, I
There's
swear.
one in the British Library. I think there's
Is the
one
one
in
in Cambridge?
yeah. Um, I don't know where the other one is. And is that from 1200 or something?
Yeah, it's like the first Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah. So it's really quite amazing. But I don't look at it and like my jaw drops when I see the Magna Carta.
It's so strange because obviously doing like different history videos, I go and see artifacts and I'm like, oh, this will be great when I'm there. And then sometimes when you're there, it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess nothing in real life can ever make you like feel the emotion of it that strongly. I think this all the time with museums. Like I've been so lucky that I got to go to DC and go to all of the museums there.
Mm.
And I would love to go back. But ultimately, when you are there, it's like, oh well, I've like got up quite early and I'm hungry and I'm thirsty and like my shoulders and neck are hurting and there's like 30 other people trying to get a look at the same object as me. It's not, I don't know, you'll never see something out of the context of the actual day. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And
I think what impresses me as well as I get older is how difficult it was to do these things. And certainly at the moment, even something relatively recent like the Apollo missions, you just feel like, I don't think we could do that now. We haven't
yeah, it's
got,
bizarre. I always, yeah.
and certainly the pyramids. It's almost, do you think they had a committee meeting, like how much are the pyramids going to cost?
Yeah. It had to go through planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it just like, whoever was in charge was like, we're going to do this and it's happening whether you like it or not, and
Yeah,
whatever
I
the
mean,
cost.
say what you like about authoritarians, they get things done. Whether it's
Yeah.
the right things or not, you don't know.
I think even now, like, was it JFK was the one who said by the end of the decade we'll
Yeah, and then they did it in '69.
Yeah. I think if someone said that now, on either side of the spectrum, they'd
Yeah,
be like, why are taxpayers' money going?
yeah, that's true. But it's for the best that we have the ability to dissent,
Would
even
it,
though we might not get another runway at Heathrow ever because of dissent. Like, I think the idea that the population is allowed to dissent to your opinions is probably worth it.
mm.
I mean,
What do you think of this, of say our lifetime? They will look back on as really impressive.
Currents by Tame Impala.
Well, that's a full circle
No,
there.
but I do actually think that, like, what will be. There's loads of albums that I like that I'm just like, yeah, I love this.
You
I'd love
think
to go
that
and see
that's what
them.
it is, music?
Yeah. No, I was just making a different point, but like, I mean, there's loads of albums that I like that I've listened to loads of times, but I'm like, okay, when I'm old, what will I be telling people? Like, oh, you won't believe how good music was in 2013. Like, what will it be? And I do think Currents is probably the one that I would go
Mm.
to.
Do you think it could be that AI will eventually get to a point where, for music and film, it just makes everything so much easier? Like you could just put in like make a film about Titanic and it will come up. But then they'll look back and they'll be like, I can't believe someone went to the effort of actually making this
I can't
film.
believe someone went to the effort of making Cameron's Titanic now. Um, but yeah, I do think that that will happen, sadly, that you'll just be able to be like, generate me a 3 hour feature film, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't like that one scene, so just generate it again. But then obviously there's still like a human curator who's judging the plot development and everything and being like, oh, you didn't do it well enough. Do it like this instead. So
Yeah.
that's still human creativity, just in a different way. But I think the impressive thing from this age could be improving healthcare in the third world, bringing down infant mortality. I think the Centrelink got a lot better.
Do you think they'll remember that?
I think so.
When when I look back on, say, the early 20th century, I think of like, well, it's mostly technology, like flying and stuff like that. I don't think, oh, like antibiotics got better or something.
No, but you probably should.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you and I don't have to worry about tuberculosis is like crazy. I mean, sadly, people in other countries do. But the
Is
fact
that
that we're not going to die of it is mad.
is that the same with like, I don't know, maybe at the same time as Stonehenge? I don't know, they invented like
The wheel.
it seems to be technology that is what's remembered.
But is medicine not technology?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
I genuinely think a lot of the stuff that we do, if we had to worry about polio, like, we wouldn't be doing it. Like, it's enabled way
I
more free time in
yeah,
people's lives.
I think we take it for granted. That's the thing, and
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. So
maybe
you're right that it
even
won't be remembered.
maybe even think it's not good enough. So someone from 500 years ago
Yeah. Oh my
came
God.
today,
Yeah, yeah,
and they were like, "You got to wait 8 hours in A&E."
yeah.
They'd be like,
What's A&E? Yeah.
"Yeah,
No, that's definitely true. But what would you say if there is actually a technology? People would say the iPhone.
actually." Because I remember like that was just at the age where like I wanted to get a phone. You know, you're getting your
We
first.
rode that wave. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when Steve Jobs was like, "You just do that,"
Yeah.
that was like, wow.
I remember your iPhone 3GS was the first time I'd ever seen one.
Yeah, that was like they were just taking off. Because I think the phone before that, my first phone was the the Motorola Flip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Razors as well.
Yeah.
I had a couple of the Sony Walkmans, like
Mm,
phones, the like i5 whatever it was, the little red one.
yeah. And the amazing thing with the iPhone, it wasn't like the camera was good or like even I suppose the screen was good, but it was just how fluent it was to use, how intuitive.
Yes. It like instead of making the same things we wanted to do easier, it kind of invented new ways of fitting things into your life that made
Mm.
more sense, I think. But I don't know, maybe in the future we'll have maybe there'll be some cool technology coming in our lives still, like maglev, something like that. That's what I would be
What's
hoping
maglev?
for. Magnetic levitation trains.
Oh, okay.
Monorails.
Hopefully they'll say David Hartley 94, his videos.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being alive when he was posting
Oh,
them?
I know. I'm so jealous of everyone who got to experience all of his new drops and different songs that are weirder than I thought. I'll be telling my grandkids about that one. And I guess let us know in the comments what you think the biggest technological advance of this century is,
Yeah.
what you think will be remembered for. And thanks a lot for listening.
Thanks.